Okay, our pieces are dry. Let's see, let me separate these. I've got two going. One is the regular chipboard that I just used as is. These are the ones I glued together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hook these up and make the cover and spine. And here's something super important is you want to line them up, and I'm going to use this board here to sort of get a straight line and make sure that they're on the same, starting at the same line down here. But I want to give myself a space, and I'm going to say like 1/8 of an inch, something like that, because it folds. You need it to fold. Wow, that's crazy. Look how this is this is the kind of stuff that happens. So just slightly changing the angle makes a big difference. So get those straight-ish. Put a space between them, and let me show you what that does. You know, on a book, anytime you have a book, you'll see it like a space. So, you know, this right here, this little groove here, that is the space between this front panel and this, so that it will move. And if you get that too tight, it won't open right, it won't fold back right. So you want to give yourself space. Now, this thing is kind of hard to see because there's so much going on, but it is this hinge, so to speak, right here. And there's a lot that's gonna intersect right there. This pocket is gonna be there, and this piece that we're gonna glue in is gonna be there. And so you want to give it room. I think I might even give it that much room. So the important part here is you want to get the bottom and the top straight, because it's real easy to get these things cockeyed and then it won't fold right. It'll be off. So let me just look with a ruler. This is more than I thought. It looks like more like 1/4 of an inch. Oh, no, somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4. Okay, not quite 1/4 inch, a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. So if you want to eyeball it, that's about what it should look like. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to use on this one masking tape. I've got this big wide masking tape that I got at Walmart. And I'm going to add, let's see, I think I'll use my art glitter glue, but you could use any glue you want to just back up the masking tape. It's like when we use washi tape, you know, we always add glue to it because we don't know that the glue on the actual tape, how long it'll last. So this will help it last a lot longer. And I'm just going to eyeball it, tear it off, carefully lay it on there, and mesh it down, and I'll trim it off later. And then this one looks like it's time to clean out my art glitter glue. There we go. Come on. It's got a clog in there somewhere. Okay, and with this masking tape, I'm going to also do this side, I think. Okay, and then trim off the excess. Now the other one I'm going to do, I'm going to use a more archival product, and instead of masking tape, I mean either way is fine. Just up to you what you want to use. I'm just showing you another option, and that is Tyvek. And you can get Tyvek is you can get it. You've probably gotten things in the mail with this. It's a real sturdy, I don't know what it is, plastic or something. I don't know, but it's got fibers in it and it keeps it from tearing. And you can buy it, DuPont Tyvek on Amazon, and they give you a bunch of sheets of it. And you can use that as well instead of masking tape. So on the second one, I'm going to do that. And so let me lay it out. And then this one, I think I'm going to use Fabri-Tac and glue this on. And I'm going to do it like that. So okay, and then I'm going to use a bone folder and make sure I've got that mashed down really well. Spread that glue out. Okay. All right, so then I'll trim that off later. Now, it's going to attach here. And again, I want to leave a space because it's going to fold. Stuff that's attached to it is going to fold over. You know, like between 1/4 of an 1/8 is what I think we figured out. So I'm going to say something like that because that white edge right there is actually where the cardboard is. Okay, so I'm going to use masking tape and glue. I'll do one on the back. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to cover all of the edges because the paper that we're going to glue on may or may not cover. So let me show you what I mean. Like when I glued this paper on, you could still see the edges, and the same with this piece. So you want to cover it with either, you can do washi tape, or you can do brown paper, or you could do newsprint or book pages, old book pages. I think that was what I was going to do. On one was book pages. So I'm going to take this old book and just tear some pages out of it and cut strips. And I want it where of course the copy is. And I don't want photographs. I can use that side. Okay. So I'm going to cut these off. And it may or may not show, but we don't want to take a chance. So it's easier to do it now before you start than later. So I'll just cut strips. And then I'll take our glitter glue and just start to do the edges. Okay, so I've got all the edges covered, and on this one, determine which is, if it matters, which is the cover, and then you're gonna want to put another piece of this that goes back a little further, because this is actually going to be a pocket, and so you'll be able to see, in theory, a little bit further back. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover it so I don't have to see any chipboard if it does show. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover it with a piece of paper like that. And then the other one, I'm going to use the washi tape just to show the difference. So I'm going to trim the Tyvek. So I'm going to run the glue and the washi tape kind of halfway. Push it down in those little spaces so it doesn't tear later. And then flip it over and do this side. And so work your way around. If you're going to use this, this is probably easier than the paper, but it's up to you. The paper's cheaper because this is Tim Holtz washi tape. So, you know, if that's a concern, if you're hoarding Tim Holtz stuff and you don't want to use it, I totally understand. And so I'll be back when I do this and get this finished. Okay, so I know I'm kind of poking along on some of these things, and so I know some of you are probably in a big rush, big hurry to do this. So I'm going to tell you quickly, if you want to just try to do it on your own, sometimes I'm like that. I'll just get the gist of it and do it myself. So here's the gist of it. We're going to cut page 1 out, which is these two parts. I'm going to suggest that you put them in a folder so you do not lose track of what's going on here. I wrote page 1 and I wrote cover and spine on here. I put spine and cover so that if these get separated, I will know what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. So what I'm going to do, I'm sorry for those of you that want to rush on. The spine piece, you're going to pick out what paper you want for that and trace around it. And you're going to glue the spine on first. And so, okay, and just like I did on the other one, I am going to glue a piece of paper here, just in case it shows. Okay, so now this becomes the outside because I put that there. This is now the outside of the book, journal. So what you're going to do is this spine piece, you're going to cut it out, and it is going to be this right here. After you've glued it on, you're then going to glue this piece over it, and you'll glue this piece over it. And this one's a separate piece. I made 2 separate ones. And so if you want to go on ahead, that's what we're going to do. You can go find fabric or whatever you're going to use for your spine. And for one of these, I'm going to use fabric, and for the other, I'm going to use paper, just to be different. And I was kind of thinking about taking some brown paper, crumpling it up, and inking it so that it sort of looks like fake leather without all the bother of making it look like fake leather with, you can use like Mod Podge and the napkins and add to it to sort of make it look more like leather. Okay, so for the one I'm going to use paper. I'm going to use this for the cover and back. This was a bag I got that's super heavy, and it's got some sort of coating on it. So I think that would be perfect for the cover and back cover. So I'm going to use that, and then brown paper on the spine. And then for the fabric, I'm going to use this Tim Holtz fabric that I just really love, and let that be my cover. So I'm going to crumple this up and just use my Distress ink. Actually, I think I should probably cut it out first, then I don't have to waste my ink on any more than I need to. If you guys used to sew your clothing, or maybe you still do, old habits, you know, use it so it doesn't waste your fabric. Take it to the end, even though it is scrap paper. And then I'll go ahead and run some of this over it. And I've got my hickory smoke, a little bit, just because I think it's darker. Give it a little much more depth, maybe. Okay. So I'm going to put that over here, cut this out. And a lot of this will be covered up when we glue the other panels over it. Now, I think what I'll do, since I have a little extra on each end, is not trim it off. I think I'll just go ahead and glue it and then tuck this over the edge, because this is thin paper, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use this because this Tyvek, I want to make sure this sticks well. And so here's my two lines. I'm just going to kind of center this, make sure it covers top and bottom. And then I'm going to push this down. Got a line there I'm not liking a whole lot, but I guess that's just the way it's going to be. Flip it over and glue the flaps over. Okay, so I've got my spine glued on this one. So now I'm going to cut the second piece, which is the cover, out of this paper. And it is directional, so make sure if it is directional, you get both pieces, the cover and the back piece, go in the same direction. And I don't want that border, so I'm going to make sure I get up far enough. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that. I'm not convinced that's straight there on that edge that I cut the bag, so I'm going to use my pattern. And cut it out. Okay, and so honestly, on page 2 of these templates, you're going to get the back cover, and it is exactly the same size as the front cover. So you could just use that one piece. I'm going to cut it just so I don't get confused down the road, and cut that piece out as well. And then you're going to want to cut whatever your back panel is. If it's the same as your front, then just cut 2 of those. Okay, now this front panel is going to go right against the fold. You want to make sure it's where the fold is. But in other words, you don't want it to extend past the fold and stick out, because when the book is folded, you don't want that to, stick out like that. So make sure it's no further than that. You can always trim it off on this edge if you need to. Now here's the thing. This is the front, and this is going to be a pocket. So we're only going to glue it down on 3 sides. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue, find my fold, and put it along the edge of these 3 sides. And glue it on. And again, I'm going to fold it, make sure I haven't extended past the fold. And press it down. And my paper, see how it sticks out there? I apparently did not draw the line straight or something, so I'm just going to trim that off. And then I'm going to do the back panel. That is not a pocket. So I'm just going to glue that on. I'm just going to glue that on. And again, just be aware of your fold. And glue it up to the fold. too long for whatever reason, you can always trim it off this edge, but don't get it past your fold here. And press it down really well. And that is your cover and your spine. Now, if you want to, you can put a decoration. See, and I've just really got close on that. And I'm gonna pull it up because I do not want that sticking up. It will catch, and it will catch. If you have it sticking out, it'll catch and it'll start to flip up, and it won't be nice. So I'm going to restick it. Hopefully, now I really got it far down. Let me back it up. And see, I've got it sticking out on this edge, but I don't mind that because I can trim it off. Okay? And what I was going to say is if you want to, you can take washi tape, and I think I will, and add along the edges. That will help that edge not catch as well because the washi tape kind of covers it up. I'm going to go past it and tuck it onto the back side. We're going to cover this up here in a little bit, so don't worry about it too much on the inside. Okay, so there is one cover. And then fabric, I'm going to cut the spine out of this black Tim Holtz fabric. And I'm going to allow a little bit because I'm going to let the fabric wrap to the inside. So I think I am going to cut just a little bit past this since I'm using fabric. So again, you're going to want your Fabri-Tac. And let's see. This is the cover because I put the paper here. Okay, so I'm going to cover I'm going to try and not put a super heavy coat so that it doesn't bleed through. We'll see how that goes. Okay, and then center, here's the two lines, so just kind of center it over that. I guess I could use, I kind of don't want to mash it into that glue too much because I don't want it to absorb and show. So I'm going to just leave it like that and do the inside. So there is the spine, and then I'm going to take the other fabric. This I'm going to tear the edges so that I get frayed edges, hopefully. So this is already kind of torn here, so I'll just pull a few threads out, hopefully, and I'm trying to think, so I think that I'm going to cut it larger and wrap it around to the inside. And I'm going to allow more because that last one I did, it always takes more than I think to get around the dimensions of that cardboard, and I need to tear it. Okay, so I'm going to cut it. Cut Cut another one. I'm going to cut just a little bit over from that because I didn't allow for the fray. Okay. All right. Now this is a little tricky because this is a pocket. And so I'm thinking about this, like what would you do if you're using fabric? I mean, this could still be a pocket, but I kind of want it to be a little more stiff than that. All right, so I tell you what I'm going to do. Because of this fabric, it's thin, I'm going to take the same piece of paper and I'm just going to cut another one out of some thin cardboard. I've got this thin paper that comes, it's the liner when I buy my photo mat copy paper, but you could use another piece of cardstock if you wanted to. This is a little bit heavier, so I'm going to cut another one of these the cover piece from the main kit. And see, this is, I do these things as I go along, and then hopefully it doesn't jump up and bite me later. I'm going to make the pocket between this and the cover, just because it's stiffer. And I hope this works. So if you're using fabric, if your fabric's heavy enough, you wouldn't have to do this. I just want to make sure. So let me see where my fold is. All right, so I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. And glue along 3 edges to make the pocket. And I'm going to make sure this edge is like right close to the actual edge. Check my fold. Yeah, it's not going to go over the fold. So that makes my hidden pocket, so to speak. And then I'm going to cover that with my fabric, which I'm going to wrap these 2 pieces, the top and bottom, and glue those down really well. So I'm going to add flat Fabri-Tac to this. Again, trying to avoid making too big of a blob of it so it doesn't absorb into the fabric and show. All right. See if I can get this to go where I want it to go. I need it to cover the white paper. And go to the edge. And then glue this on the inside. And this is going to get covered on the inside. We're going to put a piece of something over it so it's not going to show. So you just don't worry about what it looks like so much on the inside here. Just got to get it glued down. And then the back cover, same thing. This one you're going to glue, of course, all the way across. There's no pocket to worry about on this one. You're just going to glue it, make sure all the edges are glued. That's the main thing, so they don't catch. Check your fold. Make sure it's not going over that. It's not as important with the fabric because it's soft and it'll give and it won't cause you any problems. And then make sure you've got it to this edge. And then press it down really well. Turn it over and glue the inside. And there we're done with that part. All right, I'm going to stop this video and let you do that part for yourself. And then tomorrow we will come back and go on to the next thing. So thanks for watching. Hope this was clear. Thank you very much for doing this along with me. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.